Hey, Thursday, September 15th, Lviv, Ukraine. I don't know, I didn't pre-plan this video. This is sort of spontaneous. But let's see, the war. It looks like Ukraine has got a lot of victories, and I don't know if the tide is turning, but definitely the momentum is turning. I mean, they are getting the Russians out of a few cities and pushing them. And this really all depends on how much the U.S. is willing to support this. You know, I mean, of course, there's this Ukrainian will and momentum, and they're building the army. But at the end of all this, they need the weapons and the support to keep pushing on. But it's people are feeling better here. Things are, I think the mood is more upbeat, I would say, in the last couple weeks and everything, and there's a lot of stories about mass surrenders on the Russian side. But again, it's like, the numbers that they're talking about are tens of thousands, and the Russians, I believe, have almost, reserves and regular army of millions. And it really is going to depend on how much they're going to pull from other places and commit to Ukraine. So there's also chatter in the news, I don't know how much confirmed it is, that there's opposition against Putin building. But then again, it could be Russian misinformation as well to kind of misguide. It's very hard to get to confirmed news and solid analysis. Everything is like gotten to us in bits and pieces. But I'm on my way to the gym. It's midday. Usually I go in the morning, but I just overslept and the day just got away from me. But I do want to get the workouts in. It's 2 exercises you can always do. Is the plank and run. If you do those 2 things, you got your cardio and you got your core, then everything else is just bonus. Everything builds on top of that. But I'm going to do weightlifting today as well. But I have already done the plank, and now I'm walking fast, and I'm going to jog on the machine and then do some weights. But yeah, back to the war. So yeah, it's looking like, the HIMARS is really doing a good job. They've destroyed a lot of the supply chain, and then that's takes a week or 2 to realize that, because then the supplies run out. The soldiers have all their ammo and stuff and all their food, but then when it's all destroyed on the back, they can't replenish. So that takes about a week or 2 to kick in, and now we're starting to see that kick in, where the Russians aren't able to replenish, because everything behind the lines has been destroyed. But I'm hoping this keeps going. This will be good for the local currency. It's been slipping little bit by little bit every week. It was like on the street, not officially. The official rate is 36.5, but on the street it was like 40, and now it's like 41. There was some chatter in a Facebook group that they've seen 42 in some places. So it's starting to slip again, which is tough for my situation because I'm paid in hryvnias, my salary is based in dollars, but it's paid out in the hryvnia. And then when I want to buy back dollars, I take this haircut, the difference between the street price and the bank rate. So the difference between like 41, 42, and 36.5. So it's around 10 to almost 15%. It's like an invisible tax. The government is benefiting from this, by giving a 15% haircut on the exchange rate. And they use that to buy weapons and everything. So I'm okay with that. But it's just something to note if you're thinking about coming here and working here. Right now there's currency controls, and so it's to send money out. But as I said, we made a conscious decision to stay here and ride it out. Because if everyone starts leaving, and we're part of that group of everyone, it just makes it easier for the Russians to take over. So if you want to help Ukraine, move here, especially if you have a digital nomad job. There's a lot of nice co-working spaces, places to live, and what have you. Now I wanted to reply to one of the comments in my video. I have another series I do where I'm showing the real estate development project, and they commented, oh, all this American aid money is going to new apartments and nice cars. It's the furthest thing from the truth. The people living in the new construction apartments like I'm living in and driving nice cars, which I don't. I like using Bolt and Uber. I don't like owning things. I'm trying to, de-own things or dematerialize, or however you want to say it. Those people who buy those apartments, most of them work in IT, and they're paid in dollars, and they save their money. They don't have like a stock market or mutual funds or any place to put their money, so they usually just before the war they would just convert everything to dollars and euros and get bank deposits, fixed deposits, or they would save dollars. Even they would go on business trips abroad, work abroad, save, and hustle really hard. The Ukrainian IT workers, the Americans work like 50 hours a week, the Norwegians work 37 hours a week, the Ukrainians do like officially 40 but really 60, work 60 hours a week. They're like Americans except a bit hungrier, and so a lot of them are pretty good. So after 5 years of working, they earn a lot of money, and they're earning almost a Western wage, and they're saving all of it. And many of them, they have wives who are also in IT, and they save up their money and they buy the apartment, which is around $50,000 several years back. And then, a renovation is like 20 grand. And then they save some money a little bit longer, work hard another 2 years, and they buy the car cash. And you can get cars here, used cars from Germany, America. I wouldn't say they're cheap, but you can find some good deals. Like you can get a used Toyota Corolla here, imported in for around 10 grand. It's got the cloth seats and it's not great, but it looks good on the outside. So I just wanted to comment on that's not because of the Americans. That's because of good old-fashioned grit, hard work, and studying the right stuff in the university. Like computer programming and software engineering and big data analytics, statistics, mathematics, mechanical engineering. These are the ways you can still get ahead. You study these things, and then you get in with an IT company or the government or the military, and you save your money. And then you can, you buy a house, you pay off the house. But here, everyone buys the houses already cash and paid off because there isn't really that much of credit here. They have some loans you can get, but they have like 12% interest rates, and the term is only like 10 to 15 years. It's kind of like America back in the 1960s, So it's still a cash economy here, but nobody is giving the local people money to go out and buy apartments and cars. The Ukrainians are earning it, and they're sweating blood for it. And the Ukrainian IT sector is like the backbone of the European information technology, European banking, finance, engineering companies, what have you. We have like 2 companies here that support BMW, Bosch, Mercedes, with all sorts of needs, like mapping. I believe a lot of the mapping software and stuff in Mercedes was done here in Lviv. So this is very high value work. These guys aren't just sitting and coding, they're actually providing architecture and proposing innovative solutions. So yeah, enough of that. So yeah, we're just hoping, just from our perspective here, that that Putin isn't forced into a corner to go nuclear. There's a lot of chat about that. Medvedev, the Russian prime minister, or Putin's lapdog, this guy that's always by Putin's side, and they switch between president and prime minister, had talked about going nuclear. And this is where we need to hear the language from the West that they also have nuclear weapons. And the Russians only really have 2 key cities, St. Petersburg and Moscow. America and Europe have many key cities. So they're more likely to be wiped out than we are. Yeah, we might take a few hits, but we will prevail. We will rebuild. We have the culture for that. After they get nuked, let's say we nuke, a Russian city in retaliation, they're probably just going to steal from each other and screw each other over or turn against their leadership. And we need Western leaders to talk like this. You know, but anyway, I think I've discussed that too, that we need Joe Biden to talk more about, that America has nuclear weapons and can deliver them to Moscow and St. Petersburg in less than 8 minutes with a Trident submarine. And our shit actually works. We do testing, and we don't. We might overpay for our arms, but they work. In Russia they just steal the money. In America, the theft is kind of done through, price gouging, but they still deliver a working product. They just take a big profit off the top. But the other thing I want to talk about today is Zelensky's comments about Trump. That Trump should have known what he was. Trump's praising of Putin in these comments. Now, I don't agree with any leader calling out American politicians, past or present, any foreigners doing this, but I would have to agree that Trump needs to be more pronounced about his view on Russia. We need to understand how Donald Trump really feels about Putin, and he should. I'm kind of upset that he hasn't made statements denouncing Putin, more public and open statements. It's kind of making me wonder now. I voted for him twice, but I'm starting to wonder, this is a very serious conflict of civilizations. Western democracy against old world thuggery and oppression, and kings and monarchs, and this kind of bullshit where people can't be themselves, and people are have to fear for their lives. I mean, this is a real clash of civilizations. And where is Donald Trump on this? Is he why isn't he more outspoken about this? This is one of the most serious things in my lifetime. It's right up there with 9/11. If not more. It has a bigger consequence. 9/11 was like one strike against the buildings, and these guys were in Afghanistan. There was no way these guys are going to topple Western civilization. But if Ukraine falls, it can really shift the power balance. We have India, which is neutral. Neutral just means you're on the, you're just embracing the status quo. That's 1 billion people. The Chinese are in bed with the Russians, but albeit cautiously. They trade trillions with us, billions with the Russians. So the Chinese are playing the game, but if things shift and they align with Russia, it's a problem. So in a way, this is bigger than 9/11, the strategic implications. And where is Donald Trump on calling out Vladimir Putin and talking more pro-American like Ronald Reagan did? Ronald Reagan was caught on a hot mic, joking about sending bombers to Russia and leveling them, and he was always taking jabs at the Russians and the Soviets. Why aren't we getting more of this from the Trump side? What I also worry about is the Republicans, as I said, getting elected in November. And, this quote-unquote oversight that they're going to put on the weapons shipments is really just going to slow things down. It's always been fucked up with arms shipments, when we were running all the wars. So why start now? I don't like fiscal irresponsibility, but this is not the time or place to put that in. We need to fill this country up with weapons and, destroy the Russian civilization. That's really what needs to be done. We need to train as many Ukrainians as we can, and if we have to sneak in a few of our guys, for command and control, and teach Ukrainians how to fly A-10s, that's what we need now. And we need to just throw everything we have, because once Russia collapses, we can rebuild it in our image in 5 separate countries. We can rebuild it as one nation of St. Petersburg, one nation of Moscow, Chechnya, Dagestan and Siberia, and we can make them fight with each other. We can use the CIA to, so keep them occupied, and then eventually we can put in new education there and teach the people there, how to, respect human rights and not loot people's washing machines and dryers, and it's going to take a lot of change. But I think the first thing they got to do is we can't tolerate this. We can't, because it's going to lead to a Chinese, Russia, India pole. And Brazil and India, they just go where the money is, and those are some very powerful countries. But they play this neutral card, but we know neutral means bullshit. So we can't have Europe and America against like 4 or 5 billion people. Like China has technological capabilities, and actually even North Korea does too. We just can't have it. So this is it. Well, anyway, this is my piece. This is what I think. It looks like the war is turning around, but it's far from over. As I said, the Russians still have millions, and Ukraine has only taken out tens of thousands. So, I'm not holding my breath, but I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing, and maybe there will be a coup in Russia. Who knows? Maybe the Russian people will wake up and realize that they cannot win a nuclear war with America. And I want to see Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or somebody who's in charge, or even Trump, say, I'm going to nuke your ass if you touch Ukraine with nuclear weapons. We can wipe out your people, just like he said to the North Koreans. And it got them straight. He can say, like, yeah, first thing I do when I'm coming to power is I'm parking all the missile boats off St. Petersburg and Moscow, and I'm going to surround your country, Vladivostok, and we'll get you in 7 or 8 minutes. You might get some of us, but we're going to get more of you. That's what we need to hear. That's the only way the Russian people respond, and it's the only thing they listen to. I think we're past reason with them. Anyway, thanks and have a nice day.